It is 3:08 a.m. on the 19th of November 2025. Over the dark Caribbean, a sound rises that does not belong to the night. From a hidden US airbase, a B-52 Stratofortress blasts down the runway at full power, its 8 engines shaking the ground like a low thunder. No warning, no flight plan, no radio call. Only one short order heard inside the tower. Emergency launch. Go now. From the cockpit, the view is a tunnel of red lights and dust. The giant bomber lifts off fast, climbing at an angle most crews never push in real life. Behind it, 4 invisible F-22 seconds rise like shadows. No one on the ground knows what the bomber carries, but everyone feels the urgency. Something has gone very wrong. 2 minutes later, far across the water, Venezuelan radar screens flash with a massive unknown target rushing in from the north. Operators lean forward, unsure if it is a sensor error or a real threat. And right here is where everything begins to break open. The next decision will decide if the night stays quiet or explodes into chaos. The reason this launch shook the entire region is simple. A B-52 does not leave the ground at 3 inches the morning unless the situation is extreme. This is one of the most powerful aircraft the US has, able to cross continents and carry weapons that can change the course of a conflict. When it takes off with no notice, in total silence, every radar in the Caribbean begins to track it. And on October 30, that is exactly what happened. For Venezuela, the bomber's sudden climb turned a quiet night into a national alert. Their main radar sites in Maracay, Barcelona, and Palo Negro all reported the same thing. A huge heat signature moving fast and not responding. In those control rooms, operators understood the risk. A wrong call could trigger a scramble, and a scramble could become a clash before anyone had time to think. That is why this moment mattered so much. It was not just about a plane in the sky. It was about 2 sides watching each other from across the water, both aware that one mistake could change everything. For the US, the stakes were just as high. A launch like this usually means there is a sensitive asset on the ground or in the air that must be protected right away. When a B-52 takes off under emergency orders, it signals a mission linked to survival, not routine work. The crew inside the bomber knows that every second counts. They know other nations will see them. They know they may be forced into situations no one wants. And that tension, 2 nations on edge, 1 bomber at full power, and the fear of a wrong move is what makes this moment one of the most serious in the region in years. As you listen to this story, ask yourself, did Venezuela overreact, or was their fear justified? Tap 1 if you think it was a real threat, or 9 if you think it was only a warning move, and let's see what the audience believes. In the Venezuelan Air Defense Center, the first warning begins as a single, bright shape sliding across the radar grid. At first, the operator thinks it is a glitch. The echo is too large and too hot, the climb too sharp, but the signal does not fade. It gets stronger, it moves with purpose. A second later, alarms fire across the room. Supervisors rush in. Cross-checks with 2 nearby stations confirm the same thing. A heavy aircraft, military grade, pushing south fast. Inside the B-52, the crew feels only the steady shake of 8 engines. Their radios stay calm. One F-22 escort checks in with a short update. Shadow 1, picture clean, you're covered. They know they cannot hide the bomber's heat signature. They know every radar from Maracay to the coast will lock on soon. Back on the Venezuelan screens, the target shifts color. That change means the aircraft is not civilian. It refuses to answer identification calls. Phones ring down the hall. Officers gather behind the radar crew, watching the massive return grow. The order goes out. S-300 teams on standby. Not armed yet, but minutes away. One officer leans forward and says quietly, "If this is a mistake, we cannot undo it." At the nearby airbase, 2 Su-30 pilots sprint toward their jets. Engines roar awake. They are not cleared for takeoff, but they must be ready. The tension is heavy. Everyone knows the moment fighters leave the ground, the stakes rise fast. Inside the B-52, A coded message arrives from the base they departed only minutes earlier. Continue plan. Do not break route. It tells the crew everything they need to know. Whatever they are carrying or protecting cannot wait. The F-22 seconds shift closer, tightening their formation as the bomber climbs higher. Then the pressure spikes. Venezuelan radar screens freeze for a heartbeat, then burst into static. The picture scrambles. Operators reset the system. The bomber's echo flickers, jumps, and becomes harder to read. Some claim the aircraft changed altitude. Others insist it did not. Voices overlap. Stress climbs. Everyone fears a wrong call could trigger a chain reaction they cannot control. But discipline holds. No missiles armed, no fighters launched. The officers choose to track, not strike. They watch the B-52 rise past 40,000 feet and curve east, still escorted, still silent. If you were the one watching that giant echo close in, would you hold your fire or scramble jets? Tap 1 if staying calm was the right call, or 9 if you would have launched immediately. The situation escalates quickly as the B-52 climbs past 42,000 feet. From this altitude, every radar in northern Venezuela tracks its heat trail, the echo stretching across screens like a moving wall. In the Maracay command room, officers lean forward, studying a target that refuses to answer, slow or fade. The air feels tight, as if the entire building is holding its breath. The first spike comes when the bomber shifts slightly east, only 5 degrees. But at high altitude, that tiny turn looks like a direct line toward coastal defense zones. A senior officer orders a weapons check, stopping just short of arming missiles. Across the country, S-300 teams brace inside their launch vehicles, hands hovering near controls. In this kind of defense work, a handful of degrees can mean threat or no threat. Inside the B-52, the crew feels the strain. The aircraft hums at high power, the climb tightening the cabin. The pilot keeps calm, but everyone knows Venezuelan radars are tracking them. They know the only thing keeping this from exploding is the fighter screen beside them. The F-22 seconds spread out wider, forming a shield, each jet watching a different angle for a scramble or a missile ignition. Then comes the second spike. Venezuelan radar screens begin to fill with noise. At first, crews suspect a malfunction, but the pattern is too controlled. It spreads station to station, wrapping the airspace in a gray fog. Engineers realize the truth. Electronic warfare. The escorts, or another platform behind them, have activated a powerful jamming field. For 30 seconds, Venezuela watches its scopes blur, freeze, and distort. The giant target remains, but everything around it dissolves into static. During the blackout, Su-30 pilots slide into cockpits. Engines rumble. They wait for tower clearance. But launching blind in an electronic fog risks a mid-air collision or worse. The tower hesitates, stretching the tension even thinner. When the radar picture finally returns, the massive echo is still on course, but now climbing toward 45,000 feet. Officers argue whether the rise signals an attack posture or simply an attempt to stay above missile range. No one agrees. And in these moments, a wrong guess can trigger catastrophe. The B-52 presses forward, the escorts hold formation, and Venezuela stays one breath away from firing. In those narrow minutes, the region comes closer to a clash than at any time in years. If you think the jamming made things more dangerous, press 1. If you think it prevented a launch, press 9. Just as the radar picture begins to settle, a faint return appears on the edge of the Venezuelan tracking sector. At first, it looks like leftover noise from the jamming, a thin flicker, but it moves too cleanly to ignore. When operators zoom in, the signature sharpens. It isn't debris or weather, it's another aircraft. The command room goes silent. A second unknown during an emergency launch is the scenario officers train for but hope to avoid. A supervisor orders a cross-check with coastal radars. Both confirm the same thing: a slim, high-altitude echo trailing the B-52 by several miles. Too small for a fighter, too steady for a drone. Inside the B-52, the crew receives a brief message from an F-22. Shadow 1, second picture behind you. No threat for now. The pilot acknowledges, tension rising. Something is following them, and no one knows why. The escorts tighten their formation around the bomber's rear arc. In Venezuela, officers argue. Some say it's a U.S. recon asset. Others think it slipped in during the jamming fog. What they agree on is simple. It wasn't there before. A radar tech notes a detail. Everyone missed the second echo appeared exactly when the distortion cleared. For a moment, it seems like the B-52 might be the distraction. The idea spreads fast. What if the bomber is just the shield? What if the smaller echo carries the sensitive load? Some push for a scramble. Others warn the signature is too faint. Yet the echo keeps moving slow, straight, deliberate. Inside the bomber, the order is firm. Maintain course. Escorts speak only to confirm positions. Whatever follows them, the mission continues. And a quiet twist emerges. The real risk tonight may not be the aircraft everyone sees, but the one almost no one noticed. The night hits its peak when both radar echoes the massive B-52 and the thin shadow trailing it move into the most sensitive stretch of Venezuelan airspace coverage. Screens in the Maracay command room flare bright. The bomber climbs past 45,000 feet. The smaller echo stays fixed several miles behind, steady and controlled. For the first time, officers see the two signals as part of one coordinated move. Operators zoom in and catch a faint heat mark behind the bomber. It is weaker than the B-52's engines, but too clean to ignore. Some officers say it is a recon aircraft. Others think it entered during the jamming burst. A new idea spreads fast. The B-52 is the distraction, and the smaller craft is the real mission. Then a wave of electronic noise sweeps across the radar grid. The bomber stays visible, but the small echo blurs, vanishes for a moment, then reappears even closer. The sudden shift sends tension across the room. One officer says quietly, "It's closing in. They're doing something up there." Inside the bomber, the crew sees a proximity alert, not a threat, just a marker showing something close behind. The pilot calls the F-22 seconds. One replies calmly, "Shadow 1, traffic confirmed. Continue." The escorts adjust slightly, keeping a shield around the bomber without raising aggression. Meanwhile, Venezuelan Su-30 pilots sit inside their jets with engines running, waiting for clearance. But the tower hesitates. Launching fighters into a field of jamming and unknown traffic could cause a mistake that no one can walk back. Seconds stretch as officers argue over unclear data. A final radar adjustment brings the picture into focus. The second echo is not drifting. It is flying in formation, just below and behind the bomber. Some officers relax. Others grow more uneasy. Whatever the smaller craft is, it is moving with intention. Slowly, both echoes slide away from the edge of Venezuelan airspace and back into international skies. The radar picture clears. The room stays silent until the last signal fades. When it ends, everyone knows they witnessed a move planned with precision. A bomber and a silent partner crossed the region, triggered every alarm, and never explained why. If you think Venezuela was right not to launch fighters, tap 1. If you think they should have scrambled, tap 9. When the two radar echoes finally faded, the Venezuelan command room went silent. Su-30 pilots shut down their engines without ever taking off. Everyone felt the same thing. They had stood on the edge of a serious crisis. Reports from coastal sites confirmed the same picture. The B-52 held its high-altitude line while the smaller unknown craft stayed close behind, never pointing toward Venezuelan airspace again. Whatever the mission was, it was already finished before the formation turned north. By sunrise, Caracas ordered an emergency briefing. Intelligence teams offered theories: a recon craft hidden by jamming, a protected payload flying in the B-52's shadow, or simply a test of Venezuela's reaction speed. None fit perfectly. Across the Caribbean, radar stations in Aruba and Curaçao tracked the pair moving north. They didn't see aggression, they saw coordination. A bomber is easy to follow. A shadow aircraft flying in tight formation is something else. In the US, analysts reviewed the launch, the escorts, the electronic fog, and the mysterious second echo. The timeline pointed to a high-priority transfer, not a routine flight. For Venezuela, the night exposed a weakness. Heavy jamming made their tracking picture unstable. For the US, the mission proved their rapid response system still functioned under foreign surveillance. By afternoon, both sides remained silent. No statements, no claims. But one thing was clear: something important was hidden inside that mission.